at the start of the pandemic, wala ito sa market, wala nga sa mga butika. Kasi hindi naman natin inasahan na bigla na lang kumalat parang sunog yung COVID-19. Dumating kami dito sa yung World Health Organization na kailangan ng mask. Ito. Wala ito sa saan-saan. Wala pang gumagawa nito. Ang supply nito limitado. Kaya mahal. Tanda ko na sinabi ko sa iyo, this is a pandemic. If kung ano ninyo kung anong pandemic, nagkumakalat ng parang sunog. Sabi ko sa iyo, bumili ka, huwag ka nang dumaan ng public bidding. Sabi ko sa iyo, I authorize you to purchase directly. Yan ang sinabi ko. But despite of that injunction, or rather, despite of that encouragement sa iyo, you went ahead to buy, but you conducted a public bidding. Ngayon yung public bidding, mahal pa rin kasi noon walang supply. Ngayon, pwede mo na itong hingiin pa si kanino. Kasi marami na eh. Kung kunti lang supply, di mag-agawan tayo, tapos mas mahal. Nung marami na, matagal na, dumating ng panahon na ito doble-doble na nga para lang magamit. Pero akin ito nga, dito sa gobyerno. Mahirap kasi magano yung mga for the opposition to exploit. Alam nila.
Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The World Health Organization says that the Delta variant is now a very real threat worldwide. And they also report that the Western Pacific region alone is contributing 10% of new cases and more than 8% of new deaths globally over the past 2 weeks. To tell us more about this, we have Greg Gregorio now joining us live from Mandaluyong. Good afternoon, Greg. Let's start with the countries in the Western Pacific region. Which of these have increasing cases and which are plateauing and decreasing?
Charles, according to the data from the WHO Western Pacific region, countries like China, Singapore, and Mongolia are showing signs of suppressing the transmission, while many other countries are showing an increasing trend of COVID-19 transmission. In fact, Philippines is among the 4 countries which showed the highest number of new COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. Aside from the Philippines, these are Japan, Vietnam, and aside from Philippines, these are Japan, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Charles?
Given this new set of numbers, Greg, did the World Health Organization give any projections as to when they expect the COVID-19 pandemic to end?
Charles, according to Dr. Takeshi Kasai, Regional Director for the WHO Western Pacific region, it is not clear if the virus will disappear, especially in the nearest future. Instead, they are seeing 2 possible scenarios. One is us living with the virus, like other communicable diseases, and the other is as more transmission is infecting many individuals, more variants of SARS-CoV-2 may evolve. Charles?
Right, Greg, is the WHO now recommending the vaccination of children against COVID-19?
Charles, according to Dr. Socorro Escalante, WHO Western Pacific Region's Coordinator for Essential Medicine and Health Technologies, they are recommending the vaccination of children with comorbidities and those in areas with community transmission as well as areas with formations of clusters. Charles?
Right, Greg, now that we have more or less improved vaccine supplies globally, is the World Health Organization now with this vaccine mixing and matching? And how about booster shots?
Charles, for the vaccine mixing and matching, according to Dr. Escalante, the available data right now is the use of AstraZeneca vaccine as first dose and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine as second dose, which is conducted in the United Kingdom. But aside from this, Escalante highlights that there are still no sufficient evidence for the World Health Organization to recommend the mix and match of vaccine. Thus, what they recommend is for the countries to complete the full doses of a vaccine with the same brand per individual. And as for the booster shot, according to Dr. Escalante, amid the global issue of vaccine supply, what they would recommend is for countries to give the dose of COVID-19 vaccines to those who have not received any dose of COVID-19 vaccine yet, contrary to those who have already received the full doses of their COVID-19 vaccine. In this way, we would be able to ensure that more individuals, especially the vulnerable sector, would be protected against this COVID-19 disease. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Mandaluyong. It's not just YouTubers that might soon be paying taxes on their online income. Those who earn by playing games online might have to do so as well. Camille Samonte with the story.
Besides social media influencers, the Bureau of Internal Revenue said people who earn money from playing online games also need to register and pay taxes. Like Arvin Resho, who already earned more than 100,000 pesos in just 4 months of playing the online game Axie Infinity. Arvin said his earnings from Axie Infinity is a big help in paying their bills this pandemic. He even got an opportunity to buy brand new appliances, gadgets, and a computer set.
Sabi ko nga yun yung pinakamalaking, sa loob na nagtrabaho ako ng normal work, like yung sa call center, nag-call center na po ako. Siguro hindi pa ako nakaipon ng ganong kalaking halaga, lalo na in this time na pandemic.
Axie Infinity is an online game which lets players earn cryptocurrencies, which can then be exchanged for pesos. The game's popularity exploded in recent months, with thousands of players in the Philippines attracted to its play-to-earn model. Following this, the BIR said that those who earn more than 250,000 annually from playing online games like Axie Infinity shall be taxed.
The end of the day is may flow of income po na pumasok sa ating mga players. So, income din po yan na pwede pong maging taxable. It doesn't mean na napunta ho kayo sa digital arena or digital world, hindi na ho kayo magdedeklara or hindi na kayo taxpayer.
But for Axie players like Arvin, he believes that the memo should not be implemented yet. He said some who lost their job due to the pandemic are now earning by playing Axie Infinity.
Siyempre pandemic, di ba? Parang mas maganda naman na mga kapwa-Pilipino nakaka-earn ng iba di ba? Ng iba, nakaka-diskarte ng income sa ibang paraan. Tapos ang mangyayari ganun pa. Siguro para nga sa akin, wrong timing siguro. Kung gagawan nila siguro kung pag nag-back to normal na lang, siguro sana.
The BIR is urging players to register via their new business registration system, which can be accessed on the agency's website. The game developer of Axie Infinity, meanwhile, is not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, as it is a foreign corporation. The management has no statement yet on the matter. For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
Global pandemic continues to affect Apple stores and operations. The tech company is changing its iPhone web browser design and is also delaying key features from iOS 15. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman gives us the details on Bloomberg Technology.
I'm Mark Gurman with Bloomberg Technology, and on this week's episode of Power On, I'll be taking a look at Apple reversing changes to the iPhone's web browser and how COVID-19 continues to rock the company. In June, Apple announced big changes to Safari on the iPhone. As the device's built-in web browser, Safari is clearly one of Apple's most important apps. The biggest change? Moving the address bar from the top of the display to the bottom of the screen. The company also unfortunately hid buttons for refreshing web pages as well as sharing them. Overall, it was a clunky and confusing change without a real purpose. An earlier version of Apple may have simply ignored these complaints. After all, this is the same company that waited 4 years before ditching its failed butterfly keyboards, said the iPhone 4 antenna issue was overblown, ignored criticisms of iOS 7, and praised the MacBook Pro Touch Bar despite little usage from professionals. But this time, the company's actually listening to consumers, and that's a great thing. In the latest version of iOS 15, which is scheduled to be released to consumers around September, Apple has reversed the changes, making the new design simply an option in settings. I've already reverted to that classic look personally. In not so good news, Apple's also continuing its annual tradition of delaying some features. This year's victim is SharePlay, a new mechanism for sharing your screen, listening to music, and watching video with a friend over FaceTime. Also likely to be delayed is Universal Control. That's a feature for controlling multiple Macs and iPads using one trackpad and keyboard. Another feature likely to be delayed are new mechanisms for managing your data. In other news, COVID-19 continues to impact the company's operations. Apple has delayed its return to office plan for the third time, this time until January 2022. COVID has also led Apple to increase testing of staff to up to 3 times per week. It's also impacting stores, with Apple needing to close at least one location in the US because over 20 staff members were either exposed to or tested positive for COVID-19. With major plans like an iPhone revamp and a mixed reality headset in the cards for next year, Apple, along with all of us, is planning for a much better 2022. I'm Mark Gurman. This is Power Up.
Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. President Duterte accepts his party's nomination to run for vice president in next year's elections. PDP Laban says they're reaching out to Senator Manny Pacquiao to be included in the party's senatorial lineup. And following the release of the Commission on Audit's report on the Health Department, President Duterte digs up the co's findings on departments then headed by Senator Laila de Lima and former Interior Secretary Mar Rojas. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.